Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into NFL Week 15 of Mafia Bets on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. This is a Bills Mafia-based sports betting. I almost screwed that up, Dan. We are not a Mafia-based sports betting show. We are a Bills Mafia-based sports betting show. Those are two completely different things. Where
Try
we
try
talk about the
searching this
Buffalo.
show. Try searching this show on YouTube, and the stuff you find is great.
We're going to talk all about the Buffalo Bills matchup, give you the ins, the outs, and the whys, the why nots for this week's betting lines and matchups, and why you should either hammer a bet or stay as far away from it as you possibly can. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my co-host, that guy right there, Dan Freddy. You can find him on Twitter at Buffalo Freddy. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on right now. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Help us to get our numbers up, whether it's on YouTube or it's in podcast form on any podcast network that is out there. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend, do all that good stuff. But Dan, the Buffalo Bills come off a huge win against the Cincinnati Bengals. They pull it out in unlikely fashion at the end of the football game, where I would say all of us were back in a little bit of doubt mode. They go up two possessions, the Bengals do. Josh Allen scores a touchdown. Christian Benford gets a pick six, and the rest is history. And what a football game that was that we
Incredible
get to
football game.
watch.
What a way! I mean, one of the best games I've ever been to. One of the best ways you can, end the Ralph. I uh, when did we actually think we were going to win this game? They came out 3 straight drives. You know, just dink and dunk every third down conversion. I mean, until the Benford pick six, or maybe even the pick after the Benford pick six, I
Yeah.
still just was not certain we were going to win this game. It's in my bones to just assume that something is going to happen that causes the Bills to lose the game. And in
Yeah.
this, I'm very happy that we did. Maybe it's just a special season, though. I mean, the Ravens situation, everything. Josh and Haley, congratulations. New
Yes.
stadium. There's so much going on that is just different. And last week definitely was. I did not expect the outcome that happened at really any point in the game until the very end.
Yeah, season of destiny. It feels like it's somewhat upon us, even though there's a lot of things that make you think that maybe this isn't a season of destiny also happening. But as we turn our attention to the Buffalo Bills game this week against the Patriots, and I know that you want to, after this, talk about some very unique playoff scenarios and some
Yeah.
opportunities there that you see. Real quick before we do that, we this is a show for entertainment purposes. This is a sports betting show. Dan recommends that you do what he does, which is effectively bet in a set of units, right? So we bet in 100 units. You should do the same thing. Monetize those units to what you can afford, whether it's a penny per unit, a nickel per unit, a quarter per unit, a dollar per unit, whatever you can afford. We do $1 on this show. We bet 100 units every single week. Please pay your bills first. Make sure your rent is paid. There's food on your table. You can put gas in your car. Bet responsibly, and for all intents and purposes, Dan likes to say every single week, you don't have to bet. And for goodness sakes, if you have a gambling problem, please seek help. But the Buffalo Bills headed over to New England this week to it's all the marbles, my friend. Like literally, this is effectively for the AFC East. The Bills lose this game, it's pretty much done.
The rest of the season is edge of the seat, and if we do not win this game, then I'm not sure that much for the rest of the season matters until the playoffs, because we're going to be in, I think, almost no matter what. And this game is really, like you said, for all the marbles. There's a couple things I do really like in this game. There's both teams have their things they're very good at, things they're not very good at, and for the Bills, they're not the greatest against tight ends, and obviously we're starting Shaq Thompson now. Bernard has been hurt. He may play, but how do you sit Shaq Thompson the way he's been playing and stopping the run? So if he's in there, I'm not going to be betting running backs against us if Shaq Thompson's playing linebacker, but I am going to be betting most running backs against us to get receptions like we have been lately. And of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
is Shaq Thompson gonna cover Hunter Henry? If he is, I would just assume Hunter Henry goes off. His over under in this game is 42.5 yards. That's something I'm taking for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm going to ladder him a little bit, maybe to 60 to 70, maybe even 80 yards. We just gave up 86 yards and 6 catches to Mike Gesicki. No, like
And this is a football team defensively, traditionally throughout its entire franchise history, that has had a hard time covering tight ends.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Bills and Pats are both bottom six in the league against tight ends.
Yeah.
We've got Rahambe Stevenson has had at least two receptions in every game for the last 4 weeks, sometimes more. And his
Yeah.
over under 1.5 receptions this week. And I'm definitely taking that. And the third bet that I'm taking is I'm taking the Bills money line because it's
Oh.
basically pick 'em, and I do believe the Bills win this game. I actually, before the Benford injury on my own personal betting, I took the Bills minus 9.5
Mm.
for like 400 odds to win this game. I would not do that now, that with Benford potentially out, but I really thought that Benford would come in. He's a whole different player than he was earlier this season. They were
Yeah.
going to hold Diggs to. They were going to hold down Diggs. We've got playoff Josh mode, December Josh mode. I just like the eye test for the Bills lately compared to what they have been. Patriots coming off the bye week, though, definitely scares me a lot. But I trust Josh in these scenarios, and I don't believe in the Patriots. They've had the cakest
Yeah.
schedule imaginable. So,
Yeah.
you know,
What's also not being talked about in this contest is the fact that the Patriots, Patriots Nation, the media is acting like the Patriots beat us by 3 or 4 touchdowns in that football game. They won
we
by
gave
3.
away the yeah. I mean, the first two drives we gave away the football.
Yep.
We had penalties galore. I mean, every game penalties matter so much, but it just seemed like nothing went right. They got every third down. They got miracle plays. It was a Billsy game.
It was a
and
Bills game.
and they've won like every game since I think then since then. But that was a Billsy game, and they snuck by. What happens in the snow if we're playing a much better football like we are right now?
Yeah.
I think the Bills could win this game by 7+.
Yeah, gotcha. So you've got Hunter Henry over 42.5 yards, laddering to 70 and 80 yards. Reminder, Stevenson over 1.5 receptions, and the Bills money line at 116 or minus 116. Before we
Yeah,
get into just kind of the rest of the bets of the day, you want to talk real quick just about some opportunities that
playoffs.
yeah, the playoffs our fans have betting the playoffs.
So we got gifted for our bets in the past by FanDuel a bonus bet, and I was trying to think, how are we going to maximize this? To me, it's a free roll. It's just a roll of the dice. If we win, yay. If we don't, we lose. We're not losing anything, right? So we got a
Right, right.
25 unit bonus bet, which is pretty nice. Um, so I found something that I find unique and really good odds. The Kansas City Chiefs to make the playoffs at this point are plus 530.
Mm,
So that means that you're getting paid 132 units for that 25. Now, I had talked earlier in the season and told friends that I don't think they make the playoffs at all. I still really
right,
don't, but I think those odds are very good. Now, there's a scenario you can almost free roll that and hedge it a little bit. So their game this week is versus the Chargers. The Chargers are plus 215 right now to
right,
win that game alone. So you can essentially bet the Chargers to win the game for a small amount and then also bet the Chiefs to make the playoffs. And almost certainly one of those two scenarios will take place because if the Chiefs win this game, they're likely going to the playoffs.
right.
This is the playoff simulator, which I was playing with left and right. There's some exciting scenarios here. We're going to go back to how we originally had it. This game right here with the Chiefs winning, they're in the playoffs. Chiefs losing, Chargers are in the playoffs. And I basically just taken the favorite across the board. Now, Denver week 17 versus the Chiefs is the other that's for all the marbles for that division
Right,
for
right,
those guys to make it all in.
right,
But taking just favorites, let's take a look at week 18. The Bills, if they win this game, have at least a shot at the 1 seed.
right. Crazy.
Miami's playing good. Miami's playing
Yeah,
good football right
yeah,
now. Who
yeah.
knows what happens? But if Miami, if the Chiefs win out like they have to do to make the playoffs, and then the Bills win out with Miami winning that game, we can end up the 1 seed, which seems crazy right now, but it's not as far fetched as I think people believe. So
Yeah, seems absolutely crazy. All good stuff. A little bit of extra content, extra juicy content from Dan, the man, on the playoff stuff. Now we're going to move into the overreaction bet of the week, which is the bet that everybody's kind of looking at and everybody really likes, but Dan wants to fade. Dan is not about it. Dan doesn't think it's going to hit. So he's going the opposite direction. So, Dan, what do you got for the overreaction bet of the week?
Star player, semi-star player at least. Somebody for sports collectibles. I've been buying up who I think is he's on a good trajectory, good team. And I just last couple weeks, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, under 200 yards passing. Which last week we did very well on Baker Mayfield as well. Another one of my favorite
Yes.
quarterbacks.
Yep.
Jordan Love's
Yep.
playing Denver this week. His over under 220 and a half passing yards. Going to not be the greatest weather. Seems like a lot of Green Bay games are pretty low scoring. They've got a pretty good defense themselves
Yeah. Yeah.
against another really good defense. I see a lot of running in this game. I don't see a lot of risky throws downfield. Patrick Surtain's just absolutely phenomenal. Denver's really good. So I'm going under on Jordan Love's passing, under 220 and a half passing yards.
Gotcha. So fading Jordan Love this week against the Packers. I feel like the Packers are going to win that game. The Denver Broncos are one of those teams
Yep.
that haven't really won a big game yet. And this game is incredibly important for the Broncos. They're a good team, well coached, decent quarterback, good weapons, good defense. But even when you look at the biggest game they've played so far in this iteration is last year, the Bills' first round of the playoffs. They lose the first round, and the Bills big boyed them. The Bills were like,
Mhm.
"We've done this before. Have you?" And the Broncos were like, "No, we haven't done this
I don't
before."
think the Broncos
So,
are tested at all yet. And but I
right,
will say
that's what
about
I'm saying.
Green Bay, they've kind of laid some eggs too. Maybe the entire NFL
True.
has laid some eggs really, but I feel
Yeah.
like these teams are really similar actually. Both of
Yeah.
them could win any game, both could lose almost any game, but both of them really just had lulls where it's like, really,
Yeah.
are you guys for real? And so
Yep, super good stuff. But I would take the Packers in this game. But yes, I like what you're saying. Jordan Love under 220 and a half. Now for the underreaction bet, which is the bet that nobody's paying attention to, the player that nobody's paying attention to that Dan really likes this week. Who do you got for the underreaction bet?
a lot of children. Philip Rivers, he's back. So, I mean, if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, how likely is it that you get a passing touchdown in a game? It happens for almost anyone all the time, right? Even Philip Rivers, I think, is going to dink and dunk down the field a little bit. He's going to have a lot of tight end dump offs. Warren's a great tight end. He has a great running back. He has a great offensive line. And you
Yeah.
might have the Joe Flacco effect here a little bit, but they're playing Seattle, who's got a good team. They're going to have to chase, right? They're going to have to
Yeah.
chase behind Seattle. I would assume that this game could be out of hand early. And are they really going to pull Philip Rivers mid-game if they're down like 21 points? So I'm like kind of relying on one of those scum touchdowns by Philip Rivers because it's basically even money for him to get one touchdown.
Right.
And I
Right.
just think an NFL quarterback with those weapons, anybody who they would put under center could get one. So I'll take Philip Rivers one touchdown. I may even put like a quarter of a unit on him to get 2 or 3 touchdowns and see if something wild happens there. And they could be down 40 points at halftime and they just have to air it
Right.
out. And
Yeah.
he could throw 9 interceptions as long as he gets in the end zone one time on some
One
fluky
time.
play. That's an even money bet. I like that.
I'm glad you clarified that because this to me, scum touchdown would be it because I feel like there, or even
Mhm.
early, I feel like this could get out of hand and be an embarrassment quickly.
Yep.
45 years old or 44 years old, hasn't played in 4 or 5 years. No preseason, no training camp, no warm-ups, didn't play last year. Like defensive linemen are coming at him 1,000 miles an hour. This has an opportunity to be bad, like
Yes,
really,
absolutely.
really
And
bad.
they have nobody else to turn to. Richardson,
Right,
he's got the eye problem.
right.
They've no one. That's why he's there. So they have really good weapons on that team. I'm happy. They're likely not going to end up in the playoffs due to unfortunately injuries. They would have
Yeah,
matched up great against the Bills. The Colts would have.
yep,
But
yep.
I mean, he's got 3 or 4 very good receivers and a heck of a tight end and a running back that can take any dump off to the house. So
That's right.
it's all about just situations that benefit you when you're betting. And I think that
Actually,
all that combined, one touchdown.
you got to wonder I don't know what the number is, but you got to wonder what the under over on carries for Jonathan Taylor is this week because you feel like
I
he's
I,
probably going to touch the
I
ball a
looked at
lot.
that absolutely, but is he going to touch the ball if they're down 30 points? Are they going to be handing it off? No, that's
You're
why
right.
I'm not betting that. Yeah.
You're right. So the underreaction bet of the week is Philip Rivers with one passing touchdown. Now the hammer bet of the week, which is the one bet that Dan says that you should have interlaced inside, interwoven, if you will, inside of all of your parlays this weekend. What you got, Dan?
Our boy Judkins, who's just a darn good running back. I'm afraid of this guy on one of those big boy football teams for a while. Last week, I had him for anytime touchdown versus Tennessee. Still don't know how that didn't happen, but he took a 58-yard dump off last week, and he gets shoestringed at the 1 yard line, and then
Right, right.
he does not score, and that was really frustrating. But of course, Judkins did pretty well for the game overall. They're starting to use him in the passing game a lot more. So I am taking Judkins combined rushing and receiving at 87.5 yards versus the second worst rushing defense in the league, which is the Bears, the worst being
hmm
Buffalo Bills. Um, Cold weather. I think that this is going to be a real ground and pound game. I don't think that the Bears are going to be able to throw all over. They're not going to be able to throw all over the Browns. The Browns are too good. So might be a little
Right.
more low scoring. He's going to catch the ball in the backfield. And of course, he gets his rushing yards pretty consistently. So our hammer this week is Judkins over 87.5 yards. Like last week, we hit the hammer again with Derrick Henry. Those numbers being in the 80s for RB1s that are in cold
Mhm.
weather, they look scary, but they're still hitting pretty consistently.
Yep.
Looks like we lost Joe there for a little while. He's out of town. So we got a few other bets for us for this week. The Jets defense is absolutely terrible. They're awful. ETN, he's been really hitting up his over under 74.5 yards. I think that ETN is going to go way over that. The Rams versus Lions game, indoors, two of the better quarterbacks in the league, two of the better teams. Can anybody stop
Mhm.
Stafford indoors? Can anybody stop Stafford indoors? What happened in Carolina was in terrible weather. The only time this year, or the only time in the last couple of months that he hasn't gone off, has been in bad weather, and they're playing indoors again. So the over in that game is 54.5. I like still the over, even though it's a bit of a high line. Um, I think Cincinnati just beats the Ravens based on what I've seen with Joe Burrow back there, a good football team. This is something I'm putting a lot of units on. Cincinnati is plus 128 versus the Ravens. And I like them to win the game straight up, and you're getting plus odds to bet Cincinnati. In the same game again, Joe Burrow over 2.5 touchdowns, which he's just throwing the ball over the field. And the Ravens have an awful pass defense, even though they've got all these first round picks in the defensive backfield. They have an awful passing defense. Joe Burrow over 2.5 passing touchdowns is paying plus 168. So I like that. And lastly, Denver versus the Packers. We talked earlier. I think this is going to be a little ground and pound. You had mentioned how you like Green Bay. I like Green Bay because I think they have the better running back and the better running
Right.
game in a
Right.
ground and pound game. But their over under is 42.5. 21-20 wins on the under. And I think that's a pretty likely score, 20-17. So I'm taking the under in the Packers versus Denver.
Gotcha. And what is the FanDuel line for the Buffalo Bills game? The spread for the Buffalo Bills game?
On FanDuel, 1.5 for the Bills. But I took the money line. They could win the game by one. And it's
Yeah.
basically the spread being minus 110 at 1.5, but the money line's minus 116. I'd rather get the extra point and just give up just that minuscule amount of juice there.
Yeah, very good. So, good cover as my internet connection dropped out here in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee. The overreaction bet of the week, Jordan Love under 225 and a half yards passing. The over, or that's the overreaction bet. Sorry, the underreaction bet of the week, Philip Rivers, one passing touchdown.
One.
The one, the hammer bet of the week, Judkins over 87 and a half combined rushing and receiving. And then the other bets that Dan likes, ETN over 74 and a half, Rams versus Lions over 54 and a half total points. Cincy money line at 128 versus the Ravens. Joe Burrow over 2.5 passing touchdowns plus 168. And Denver versus the Packers under 42 and a half. Any final thoughts before I get us out of here, Dan? You've been crushing it still
Yeah,
killing it.
we had another really
How
good
does
week
this
last week.
show not have 8,000 views? I don't even get it. Like, it's crazy.
Middle-aged fat guy with children. I am not a blonde bombshell. I am not my social media is has always been a lot more than just betting. So tossing this in here is probably a little different. I didn't just start social media for just betting. But either way, there's a lot of money in the bank on this account. We're doing very well. Um, Maybe Bills Mafia isn't such degenerates because New York State just go. Maybe we're less generous than we thought. Hey, how about that Anaconda movie? Speaking of degenerates, the new Anaconda movie.
I haven't seen it. I haven't even
There's a
seen
new
it.
term that's going around in the last 24 hours. It's called Buffalo Sober.
Okay.
They quoted in the movie. It means you can drink beer and wine and some clear liquors, but you're basically going to stop getting hammer drunk. That's being Buffalo Sober. Yeah, we're unique people here for sure. And you were talking
Yeah.
about other things. Let's go Bandits tonight. I'll be there with my family.
Let's go Bandits,
And of course,
absolutely.
go
And
Bills.
there's some potential movement on the Sabres as well that's being reported that we might see some actual action happen in the front office of the Buffalo Sabres, which would
I'll
be
do the
wildly
truffle
interesting.
shuffle, the fat man dance when that happens. I mean, I've been a Sabres season ticket holder for 17 years. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to NFL Week 15 of Mafia Bets here on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Once again, everybody, please bet responsibly. This is for entertainment purposes. Put a limit on what you bet. Don't bet unless you've got the ability to bet. And for goodness sakes, you don't have to bet. And like we always like to say, if you do have a betting problem, please seek help for said betting problem. But for me, oh wait, what's tomorrow? So tomorrow we have the post game show, 8 o'clock p.m. after this Bills Patriots contest. Monday, the Salins off tackle with John Fina show. Don't forget to watch the walkthrough with Anthony, which dropped earlier today. So you can catch that still before the Buffalo Bills play the Patriots. And then on the beat on Tuesday, and then 7 days to Sunday on Wednesday. But for me, for Dan, for John, for Jerry, for Zig, for and for all of us here at Overreaction, appreciate you guys. Love you. Go Bills.
Let's go Bills.
Go Bills.